What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom. We've got a phenomenal guest here today, and we're going to go deep on how to build a referral-based business. In fact, how to build a relationship in a referral-based business that'll produce you 50 deals a year. So we're going to go deep with that with our guest, Gayle Zientek. She's here, and we'll bring her on in a quick second. First of all, let me introduce you to the dancing monkey, my co-partner and co-pilot in all things real estate related, Greg McDaniel, who, upon first viewing by Gayle, was not impressed. Not impressed with you, Greg. What's up today?
No, she was not. And I've laughed about that story ever since. She told our mutual friend Hank, going, "Yeah, I just do not have a need for that person in my life." Mm-hmm. And now she is hashtag BFF Gayle. We are laughing our butt off. We're trying to come up with a name for the show this morning, right? And I'm like, Gayle, I want to come up with something sexy, something cool to get everybody kind of intrigued, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, what about like building a relationship-based business? You doing 50+ deals a year by sending out cards. Crickets on her side of the fence. She goes, "What, isn't that normal? Like that's just a normal Tuesday for me, Greg. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, oh my gosh. but she is, guys. This woman is a master of her craft. I mean, she has the coolest ways of sending shit. Like, she sent me this little card here with my new boat. I've shown you guys there's a bunch, but this random stuff shows up on at my house all the time. And then I also get these cool little things, which I didn't know you could do this. But she sent me you guys are listening. Sorry, you can't see this, but tough shit. Little emblem that's showing me the north, south, east, and west to keep my direction. And my key to my dreams. And I carry these everywhere I go, Gayle. I really do. So thank you. And I can't wait to show everyone what you do and to kind of hopefully open their mind up to sending cards. I was not a big fan of send-out cards. I was not. I will openly admit it. But it is magical on what this shit can do for your business when you get people calling you up. I sent you a voicemail the other day, Gayle, of this lady, and she was very, very sweet. But, Gayle, how did she want to leave her house again?
In a fruit jar.
In a fruit jar?
She's like, "You're really nice. I love the car. Thanks so much, but I leave here in a fruit jar." I'm like, okay.
Right.
I guess that's not a sale.
But what else did she say? She said, "I will remember you to other people." And that's the key.
Yes, there really was. And it was because of Gayle, changed my life. Yes.
And with that, Gayle, officially, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hey, Greg, we have something in common. You were not a fan of send-out cards, just like I was not a fan of you until I met you, until your experience, right?
Yeah, very true. I mean, I remember sitting around with you. You and I would just sat on the ground. We just sat and chatted. When we were at the Hanks thing in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which I never thought I'd ever go to Kalamazoo, Michigan. But it's about the power.
Nobody ever does, Greg.
Oh, I know, man.
Nobody ever thinks they're going to end up in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
And you barrel rolled out of that meeting. You're like, yeah, and I'm not going. But I'll tell you one thing. It's about the power of relationships. I mean, and I don't think it could be any truer than with Gayle and my friendship. I mean, she didn't know who I was. She saw a side of me, a role that I play. But then once she and I plopped down, and we literally were like, we were sitting next to each other the whole weekend, and we're like, Hank was trying to move us, and she and I were like, nope. If I'm going left, she's going left. If I'm going right, he's going right. But it's because we built a relationship. And that's what you're such a master at, Gayle. What is send-out cards first? What is send-out cards?
Well, send-out cards can I just share a little story about how I found it? It's a greeting card company. And I got a card in the mail, like you showed, that made a difference for you and you want to keep. I got a card in the mail in 2007 from someone I didn't really know. And it just said, "Hey, it was really great to meet you at the networking event. I would love to grab a cup of coffee, see how I could help you grow your business." Said, "Nothing beats a great referral" on the front of the card with my business card. And I was like, how did they do that? And so I called him. I said, "Hey, how did you do that card?" We sat down at Panera Bread for like 2 hours. I sent a card to my husband. I went home and researched send-out cards because I didn't know what it was, never heard of it. And I thought, here's what it is. here's what I was lacking in my real estate. 3 years into the business, I had a stack of files on my desk, closed files, and I didn't know who those people were in those files except for that they were closed. I didn't have any kind of traction in a CRM anywhere. So when I saw send out cards, it was like, wow, I could put people in here. I could put their anniversary date that they close on their home. I can put their phone number and their address and their birthdays. That's really all I needed. And I could just communicate with them and send them cards. I thought, wow, this is really cool. Created groups, past clients, top 100, buyers, sellers, and that's how I started. I just started sending cards after listing appointments, after open houses, and had some really great stories that came about. Lady I met at an open house, and she didn't want to buy my house, but I sent her a card. She liked the card. We connected. She bought a house 3 weeks later from me, and that was, 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I've been using it ever since on a daily basis.
I was totally, again, this is I was totally blown away. First, I followed your lead, right? I'm like, if Gail's doing it, it's got to work. So I'm going to do it. And so on all my calls, you guys know that I do a lot of outbound prospecting calls. When someone's nice to me, I send a card. And I did a follow-up with a lady the other day. And I'm like, hey, I'm Greg, blah, blah, did my little intro. And I'm like, by the way, I sent a card to you the other day. I just want to make sure you got it. It probably had a picture of the front of the house on it. She's like, oh, my gosh, that was so amazing. Yes, we're thinking of selling. I mean, it broke the walls down immediately. I had no battle whatsoever in regards to, building the relationship. It already had been done because I did something kind for her, and I didn't know her. She literally told me that she's not going to talk to any other real estate agents, and she's just wants to talk with me when the time is right because of a 79-cent card. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, that's crazy. Love it.
It's
Well, it's all about follow-up, right?
Yeah, systems. Oof.
Well, we'll talk about how to systematize it so that it's easy for you non-systemies, Greg. I need to come up with a name for you people who are allergic to systems. But Gail, I'd love for you to share kind of what so you're sitting around, kind of, you have these like a stack of closed files, and you start to communicate. What was your business like at that point before you started to really build the relationships and do a better job of keeping in touch with people versus what your business looks like now?
Well, it's like any new agent. When you get started, what do? You make a list. You make a list of all the people that you know, and you start communicating with letters, emails, all of that. And so I did that. Our business was about 35%. My husband joined me in real estate. I started in 2004. He joined me in 2006. And, we all know what happened to the real estate market, 7, 8, 9 through 11. It was kind of dismal here in Michigan.
Kind of dismal?
A little bit dismal, but that's where, so we were at 35% referral business when we started using this system. And over the course of that time period, from 2008 to 2011, when we were, we had a lot of time to keep in touch because listings didn't sell really quickly, right? Not like, okay, well, it's 3 weeks now, and it's been nice knowing you, and I'm glad I have a system that can follow up now as well. But we grew to 100% referral business during that period of time, and I have to say it's because we nurtured our relationships, and not just with cards, but phone calls, and social media has been huge. Networking, becoming top of mind. If you reach top of mind, really you can do whatever you want to do or not do and run a pretty solid business, because when people know who you are, they know what you do, they know how to find you, and they trust you, they're going to use you, and they're going to refer their friends to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really are. And I need to get better at this. I mean, I am admittedly not the best at follow-up, but I mean, it's really fun to send these little cards because, as you've taught me, Gail, I'm like, Gail, how do you send a card? She's probably like, God, this guy is a mental midget. But it's really simple. You just look for the positive about somebody or something they're interested in, to send a card about that. Not asking about the business, just saying, hey, here's a card, how's life, what's new, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, these people, the law of reciprocity kicks in, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do something nice for you. Well, I can't send you a card. Oh, I'll give you a referral. Okay. That works absolutely perfectly fine for me. But you've done some really big campaigns. You've done some really touching stuff with the cards as well. But I mean, it's not all about the cards itself. What do you do? I mean, if people aren't going to, people are so used to asking for the business, right? So how do they take that leap of faith and just send a card about my new boat that I'm going, I don't own this yet, but I will own it. But, I mean, honestly, dude, this stays on my desk, and I think of Gail every day when I see this thing in a positive light, not like, God damn it, there's that freaking agent that's, trying to suck my business out of me. It's just like, hey, she thought of me, and that was the cool part about it.
Yep.
And a lot of the times people just forget about doing that, completely forget to do that stuff.
Well, and so act on a prompting. When you see something, go through social media and look for 3 opportunities a day to celebrate someone. When you posted that picture of the new cockpit of your new wakeboard boat, I'm like, dude, that's, I remember sending Hank a card with a picture of a Jeep on it when he said he was looking to buy a Jeep. Recognizing, and I think that's something that we can all get good at with our clients, with our friends, with our family members, is just listen to them and give them back what is important to them in their lives.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I would love to go deeper into just how you make that a routine part of your life, because even if you don't capitalize on it in the form of sending cards, right? Even if you capitalize on it just by responding personally on social media, which I'm sure, Gail, you do too, like in addition to sending cards. But I think it's, I know for myself, I find it hard to really shoehorn that into the day. I need to do a better job of setting time actively aside to more intentionally use social media so that I can keep an eye not just on my clients, but prospects and people like that. So I'm curious kind of how you fit it into your daily life.
Well, when I wake up in the morning, grab my cup of coffee, and then I'll just grab my phone and start going through the timeline. And Hank has taught us in the 36 to Life course the 50-20-5-1, and so that's in my mind. I'm just going to go through and find like posts, comment on posts, and then engage in maybe sending a private message where it's, appropriate. I see pictures, every day there's pictures of people posting of their children, of their pets, of, situations that are going on in life, whether it's a celebration or a loss. And getting in tune to recognizing those emotions behind that. And I always say when I have an emotional response to someone else's post, I'll pause. I'll certainly give a thumbs up or a like. I might comment on that, and then if there's a picture or something, I'll save that picture, and right there I can pull up the app on my phone and send a card. A lot of people say, well, how do you get their addresses? Well, I've had this system for 10 years, so most of their addresses are already in my system. But if I don't, I just send a private message and say, hey, I'd like to send something to you in the mail. Would you like to share your mailing address? And I've never had anybody say, I'm sorry, no.
That's right. Gail, you do have a distinctly stalkerish vibe, so I'm going to go ahead and not send you my mailing address.
Oh, but you did.
Yes. So that makes sense. All right. So get up in the morning. We've talked a little bit about the 50, 25, and 1. Why don't you very briefly give us an outline for those that haven't seen one of Hank's previous episodes?
All right. So 50 represents like a high five. You're going through social media, and this is the part of becoming visible. So think about when someone likes a post that you do, how does it make you feel? You kind of like feel noticed, like somebody noticed me. So 50 times a day, I'm just going through and I'm noticing people and I'm acknowledging their posts with, one of the emojis. I don't think I've ever used an angry emoji, but
that's just for me and Greg's post. That's Facebook. That was a special request from me to Facebook. Yeah, that was exclusively for me and Greg.
So, that's what I do 50 times, and I probably do it a little bit more than that. Build your friends list. If you have 250 friends, like that's 5 days worth. And so you're going to have to build your exposure. 20 times a day, you're going to comment. And what commenting does, it's like a virtual handshake. It's like, there's energy pass between when you comment on someone's post. Jada, the gal that cleans our office, she's a good dear friend of ours. Her daughter just won a gymnastics event. And so I commented, Jada, congratulations. I paused. I sent Jada a card with the pictures of her standing on the podium with the big smile on her face. So it's those and 5 conversations. So 20 times a day, I'm going to just connect. I'm going to comment on someone's post. And then 5 times a day, I'm looking for opportunities to have a conversation. That could be a text message. It could be a private message. It could be picking up the phone and talking to someone and then having one powerful conversation a day. And so I just take that with my send out cards habit, and out of the 5 people that I'm like having a conversation with, at least 3 of them or 3 different people, I'm going to send cards. And just maybe it's like I see a post and I take their picture and I send them a card and wish them whatever it is. And so that's kind of what my habit is to do. And, Hank broke this down just last week. He says, okay, if I told you that being on social media could pay you $256 an hour, would that make a difference of you engaging in that? So 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week, over the course of a year, you make an extra $100,000 because you're intentional with your contacts, you're intentionally connecting with people, and you pull, $100,000 of income off social media, it's worth $256 an hour. So I thought that was really powerful.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that the numbers cranked out to be that way. But I mean, I think the most important thing that you just said there was that being intentional about where you're spending your time and what you're doing out there, because it is social media, guys. You're supposed to be social, and it's not meant for you to be a voyeur like Johnson. I mean, you want to be engaged in he's laughing. But to be engaged with these people and to be interested in their lives, it's incredible. Gail, I'm sure you see this a lot too, but I see like when people reach out that I haven't seen in a while or watching, like I saw my aunt watched one of the shows I did. I'm like, oh my God, it's Aunt Jerry. What's you doing here? But it would have been a perfect opportunity to turn around, send a card out, but bad Greg, I didn't do it. And I like looking through these new lenses that you've taught me how to look at the world, instead of a self-gratification viewing port. It's a how can I value add to other people around me, or support, or give a ear to for them to talk to me, or a shoulder to cry on, or just someone to vent to, or to virtual high fives. Hell yeah, man, you crushed it on blah blah blah. It's a totally different way of going about it, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to enroll Matt in this very soon. How to be grateful, Johnson, class 101. But he's not paying attention to me at all. He's looking down and actively ignoring me. This is what I'm talking about, Matt. The ignoring.
Not on what you're saying, but just on what I'm thinking, so I don't forget. Yeah, so I like that. So the 50, 25, and 1, I'm thinking actually about how I can do this not only just on Facebook, which I've been lax on. I did a pretty good job of it towards the end of last year. And one of the things that I found helpful was to go through and just go 30 likes. I mean, obviously on the ones that made sense to me, but just go through 30 likes, and then on the next round of 20, then you look for the one where you can like and you can comment or something like that. And so that was a way that I was able to kind of mentally break it down, and that helped me kind of break it into groups. Because sometimes I'd be standing in line, getting food or something like that, and I was able to knock out my 20 or 30 likes. I couldn't get all the commenting done, so I ended up having to break those up into sections. So that might be helpful to some folks out there. But I was also thinking about how we can use this on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has some other tools or ways to communicate, which are recommendations, where you actually write up a review or a success story or recommendation for somebody based on an actual experience that you've had, or an experience that someone in your network has had with that person. And then you can also endorse them for skills. So you can pick out 2 or 3 skills that you're familiar with, that they are involved in, and endorse them for those skills. And that would kind of fall into that I would say probably into the 20, almost like a virtual, handshake / high five for them. So those are some interesting things. So if you're building a good strategic network on LinkedIn of other business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders in your community, that's a great place. And those tools like recommendations and endorsements are really cool because they're just kind of softer ways for you to reach out and start conversations on LinkedIn that can then lead to them sending you a message thanking you, and then that kicks off the communication from there. So that's great. So we've got kind of a rough plan for people to follow on social media. What are some of the things that you look for in terms of things to celebrate or point out, or something that might prompt you? Let's give some people some ideas of what might prompt you to send out a card versus just commenting or sending them a message on social media.
Well, a lot of times when I look at recently, it's the father-daughter dances. February, March is father-daughter dances, and they're posting pictures of the men with their daughters. And so I'll comment on that, but I'll also send a card to the daughter and let them know, how cool it is that their daddy took them to the dance and how pretty they looked. When pets pass away, they post pictures of their dog or their cat, and they say goodbye. And I just, I know you can sense how that pet has infiltrated that family. And so when you sense that, you can just pause, take that picture, and send it to them. Send out cards has these little tokens. They're a dog and a cat, and so just to be able to send that, like Greg carries around his little directional thing, it's a subtle reminder that someone took time to think about them. Another one is babies. Oh my gosh, I just sent a card last night. One of my past clients had a baby girl yesterday, and they post pictures, and those brand new pictures are going on a card right now and in the mail, celebrating that moment. And those are cards that they will never, ever throw away because, one, we don't print pictures anymore. So when they get a card with a picture on the front, they're more apt to just really cherish that and save it. I had one client, I went over to her house after her son was born. They had moved in, and she said, I saw a card on the refrigerator that I sent, but I had taken the professional photographers' pictures off Facebook and sent them a card. And I said, Nancy, does it bother you that I take your pictures off Facebook and send you cards? And she looked at me and she says, oh no, those cards go in the baby book. So what comes out of the baby book when they graduate from high school, right?
Your cards.
It's the cards. And, being able to brand the cards. So on the back of the cards, this is what's so cool. Keeping the cards all about the person. Like Greg's card is all about him, but on the back, there's a picture of Steve and I with our contact information and see, he doesn't even know because he never looks at the back.
I'm like, there is? Oh, look at that. No, but it's right there, guys. See? There's Gail and Steve right there. It's right there, live in the chart. So, yeah. I did look at the back. Thank you very much. I just wanted to.
Yeah, so did I. And actually, that was one of the things that I noticed, Gail. Like I was showing it to somebody, the card that you sent me, and she was going to take a picture of the back to show people, and then she was looking for your contact info, and of course it's up at the top left. But one thing you might want to add to that is a link to your website, right? Your real estate website, because I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was one of the things that she was looking for, was a shortcut way to learn more about you if they come across one of these cards.
Yeah, and there are. I have 10 different brands on the back, so depending on the card I send, if it's a sympathy card, it's just going to have our name. If it's something to do with real estate, I usually do try to add a past client. I'm going to put something on the back that has us. But
Gotcha.
once you get to the point where people know who you are and they know how to find you, it doesn't. That even becomes a little less because they can find me on social media.
Yeah, you're already connected. That makes sense. All right, so I just wanted to share, speaking of not ever printing out pictures, this is one that will never be printed out, let me tell you.
Which one is that one?
Are you looking at the screen? Yeah, so this is from a photo shoot I did in like 2009. This was in a bar that had a piano. And Gail managed to go way back into the distant mists of my musician past and find some pictures that were very, very old and put this into the card. But the inside of the card is quite nice. Has some pictures of me and then playing the drums and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. I mean, it was super personal. It definitely made me chuckle when I got the card in the mail, and I looked at the pictures that were in the card, and I'm like, oh, this is okay. It's a good thing Greg does not own or have access to these pictures.
I do now, because Gail's gonna give them to me. But guys, for all of you guys listening, you have to understand the pictures we're talking about is of Matt with like down to his butt long hair. I mean, he had really long hair,
shoulder length, not down to the butt. Come on now, I'm not a Thank you very much. Get it right.
If I was able to find him, anybody else can go to Matt Johnson and look at his pictures.
I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway,
that is really
so
funny
major
stuff.
so major life events is what you're looking for, and then you've got some different options for the back, so you kind of pick out the back depending on the context, how well they know you, whether you feel like they need your link to your website or whether it's just a relationship thing and they already know you. Paul Franklin says Johnson in Alice in Chains. 100%. I love Alice in Chains. That is a great band. I listen to them all the time. So Paul's right on actually with what I was doing. Okay, so Brandon, the card's on the back with your contact info and all that good stuff. We did have a couple of clarifying questions on the 50, 20, 5, and 1. So the 5 guys, 5 is to have, like personal direct messages, and then the 1 is the powerful conversation. So the idea is this is a funnel, so the interaction, the commenting, and the direct messages lead to a call with somebody, and you have 1 powerful conversation a day. So Gail, what does that look like for you? When you have a conversation with someone in your personal network, a past client, maybe a potential future client, how do those calls go, and kind of what's your goal for how you deliver a powerful conversation?
Well, I guess to go to today, my husband walks into the office and he puts his phone on speaker, and it's Paul. Paul Callens is a past client. He was in our networking group, and he's this awesome young entrepreneurial pool guy, and he spends his winters in Mexico. And so, that was, to me, a powerful conversation. Is he had called Steve because Steve had left him a couple messages, and so Paul, that law of reciprocity, Paul felt like the need to call Steve back, and just talking. When you think about it, it's probably not too far off. If Paul's going to fall in love with a gal from Mexico, do you think he might move to Mexico one day?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Sure.
So, it's keeping in touch. It's not that we do it to get the business, but we do it because it's that intentional connection with the people in our database. It might be, seeing. I got an email from a past client of ours, Latika, for a GoFundMe, and it said that she was going to be undergoing some medical procedures. So, of course I GoFunded. I funded something and sent something along, but I picked up my phone and I had a conversation. I said, Latika, what's going on? How's your health? How's the kids? What's happening? And being present for somebody. So when you see something that you can't just let go, you have to have a conversation about it. I just urge people to reach out, connect, pick up the phone, make the phone call.
Yeah, there's something that I've talked a lot about, and I think this dovetails really nicely into it, is the fact that everybody's fighting a battle you know nothing about. And so when they're brave enough to share a portion of that with social media or maybe just a group of people, whatever it is, when someone has that, and when they're brave enough to do that, you should definitely reach out and have that communication, have that conversation, go that extra mile. I mean, like we always have heard, the extra mile is very, very, very vacant. There's not a lot of people that are going to go that extra mile, and you stand out. It's the blue water hunting kind of theory and methodology of do things that other people aren't willing to do or aren't aren't going to do. I mean, I know this isn't going to get me any business, but I had like that. You ever have that urge inside of you, like you just have that little inkling that you've got to call someone or send someone a message or do something for another human being out there? I had my grandmother recently passed away it's been a month. Holy shit. About a month or so ago. And no shit,
wow.
right?
Goodness.
Just boom, here and gone. No pun intended. I Johnson's shaking his head like,
Good Lord, dude. Good Lord.
at least I can joke about it. It's my grandma.
I know. It's getting better. I know.
I know, not really. But so what I did is they have these really big cards. I think they're 8.5 by 11 or something like that. Gail, I'm not sure the size, but they call them the big cards. And I went in and did, yep, there you go, massive card.
Okay.
And I got a picture of my grandma and my mom together on the front of the card. Then I got a picture of my mom's 2 brothers, her, and both of her parents, on the inside. And then my mom just a nice little note, because I know that, just reaching out to her, because, she put a lot of effort and time and a lot of energy and mental stress and everything else to deal with my grandmother and her passing and her service. But I just I followed that urge to make a message, to push a message out to my mom. And I haven't heard yet, so she probably hasn't got it yet. But it's good. It's just one of those things. I urge you guys to start listening to that little intuition inside of you and just taking action. Because, I talked to a gentleman today that, with EXP, I went to their workplace, kind of like their version of Facebook, and this guy, he's looking for a referral up here in the Bay. So I followed my intuition. I just messaged him really quickly. He's sending me a full bird colonel in the military as a referral to me somewhere in the Bay Area. But I listened to my intuition. Gail, when did you start listening to that intuition?
Well, I started. So the founder of Send Out Cards is Cody Bateman, and he wrote a book called Promptings. And the story of how he started Send Out Cards wraps around the word promptings. He had an intuition, a prompting to slow down, to stop, to go over and give his brother a hug, tell him he loved him, and say goodbye before he took off on an internship way back in I think it was 1989. And he said we weren't a huggy family. I honked, I waved to my brother, and off I went with my wife and my little girl to New York for the internship. 3 months later, his brother was killed in a freak industrial accident, and he got that phone call in the middle of the night from his mom, and instantly it took him to that moment where he didn't act on that prompting. And he says, he promised his brother, Chris, I'm going to make a way that everybody I come in contact will have a way to act on their promptings, to reach out when they have that urge. And so I've been under that mentorship for the last 10 years, going to the different promptings academies and listening as Cody Bateman teaches about the word prompting and affirmation statements. And he encourages us to pause in our day, send at least one unexpected card every day. Like his thing is, when he gets up in the morning, first person that pops into his mind, he sits down and sends a card. Now I don't even have to get out of bed. I can just pull up my phone and send that card to someone who pops into my mind, acting on that prompting. And when you do that, and it's like you said, Greg, it's like you're just sending the cards. I don't send cards to people in hopes to get business, but business comes because I send cards to people. Business comes because of how I make people feel, how Steve and I make people feel as they interact with us throughout life. If people know, like, and trust you, they're gonna do business with you. So I think the biggest part for people that are listening today is get your mindset right. The things that you think about on a daily, your thoughts lead to feelings, lead to actions. So if you have good thoughts and you have good feelings around that, gratitude. So just open up your gratitude and let people know, hey, I appreciate having you in my life. It has nothing to do with asking for referrals. And last year, Steve and I received close to 200 referrals for real estate without asking for one.
Are you serious? Good Lord, Gail. Without asking.
Without asking.
That's insane.
We do send cards. Like, this is a card that we sent out at the first of the year. It was, we donate a bike to Toys for Tots for every house we close on. So, also, my son-in-law joined us. So I sent this card, created a campaign, sent it to 240 people. And it just said, as we usher in the new year, we wish you moments filled with promise, love, joy, and peace. In November, we welcomed our son-in-law, Nico, as a realtor to Network Team Homes. In December, we donated 80 new bikes one for each home sold. We are truly thankful for your referrals and that make this possible. Together we all make a difference. Let us know if you or someone you know is looking to make a move in 2018. Network Team Homes is ready to serve. And then I signed it, all of our agents, including our 11-year-old grandson, pictures of us on the bikes, making it fun, engaging. And I think we got, within 10 days of this card going out or being delivered, we received 5 phone calls.
Wow. That is
that's kind of like that's mentioning that their referrals are important, but most of the time it's just sending cards.
I'm literally sitting here thinking how many opportunities I have totally screwed the pooch in the last 30 days on not sending cards. Like there's this woman, Ella, nice woman, very opinionated on her political stances, and does not shy away from telling everyone who in earshot where her thoughts are. But she's got, it's a shorter list of what disease she doesn't have. Her body's being eaten away, and she knows she needs to sell. I'm sending her a card today, thinking of you, hope you're doing well card. I should have sent one 2 weeks ago when I was doing the open house. Every time I do a McDaniel challenge, I should be sending one out. Every time I talk to someone about, talking about EXP, I should be sending one out to them. A colossal clusterfuck that yours truly has created, because I wasn't thinking with my heart. I was thinking more business, transactional, not relational. You and Hank, Gail have browbeat me about this, but I'm such a old bull when it comes to this. I haven't changed my ways because that's the way I was raised in this industry. But imagine the double impact. Yes, you can do it transactionally, but if you add an emotion and a relationship on top of that, it sweetens the pie. So you can still do the prospecting calls, the doors. You can still do the networking events. There's another one. I should send out a freaking card when it comes to my networking events. Damn it, Gail.
That's awesome.
You saw revolution.
I have a story, and so this works for strangers too. I travel quite a bit, and I was going to Houston a few weeks ago, and just in our little terminal in Kalamazoo. Greg, you flew in there. There's not much about Kalamazoo.
There's like a flight a day, and if you miss it, you're screwed. They shut the airport down. You're done.
So I'm sitting at the gate, and they just made an announcement that if you had, if you needed a seat assignment, to go to the gate agent. And this little lady sat down. Dolly sat down next to me. She said, "Is that seat taken?" I said, "It's reserved just for you." and I noticed on her ticket that it said, she needed a seat. So I said, "Oh, they just announced that you need to go up and see the gate agent for a seat assignment, but you can leave your bag here. I'll watch it for you." And so she went up and came back. And then they said, "Okay, well, we're moving you to gate number 3. So literally it's about 50 feet that way.
It really is.
So it's like, okay, well, you have to move gates now. So we went and sat down, and so I started to talk to her, ask her questions, where she was going. She was going to Kansas City to meet her twin great-granddaughters that were a month old. Her 2 daughters lived there. I said, "Well, have you always lived here in Michigan?" She goes, "Yep, I've always lived here. My husband we live in Vicksburg. We have 3 sons that live here in the area, but my daughters both moved." "Well, why did they move to Kansas City? What took them there?" "Well, one son-in-law has worked for Hallmark, of all places, has worked for Hallmark all these years." And so what did my mind do? I was like, "Oh, Dolly, can we send them a card?" I said, "Do you happen to know their address?" So I took my phone. I did it. I got my phone. I did our selfie, and so I started to create this card, and it was to Matt and Penny. And so what does she do? She's 70, 80 years old. She pulls her little address book out of her purse, right? And she had their address. So I sent a card with a picture of me and Dolly on the front, and I just said, "Matt and Penny, I know you're going to have a great visit with your mom. She's a delight to meet in Kalamazoo." And And then I said, Dolly, I'd like to send a card to you too. So I got Dolly's address. I guess I didn't look too much like a creepy stalker because this little old lady, she gave me her address. So, I didn't even really think much more about it. But this came I think on Friday or Saturday. I got this little personalized handwritten note in the mail from Penny, her daughter. And, this is what it's all about. It's, Dear Gail, what a nice surprise, the card and brownies. Yeah, I sent her some brownies too. Thank you so much for visiting with my mom. She is a very kind soul, and my sister and I don't get to see her often enough. She had a great visit, and we got lots of pics with her and the grandkids and the great-grandkids. She is happy to be home with my dad. Thank you, Penny Mills. So, I made a connection with Dolly at the airport. Dolly, perhaps might need to sell her house in, 5-10 years. I don't know. But the fact that I was able to send a card that was personal, that had pictures, had our custom branding on the back, that did have our information, Matt, I didn't tell her I was a realtor. But when she got the card, it was branded that we are realtors. So, that's just one story of how when you have something like this, it allows you to connect on a personal level when you're out in public in a way that is memorable and long lasting.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, when I first met Gail, we had to stop and grab some stuff for the house, and so we walked into some store, and she's like, "Greg, I'm the self-proclaimed selfie queen." I'm like, "What?" And she takes more selfies with people, and I'm like, what is this woman doing? Because I didn't know what she did. And then I get this amazing card from her with all these little snapshots throughout the weekend and all these things I didn't know she was taking photos of. I'm like, oh, those memories will never die because I have them on my card, which is in the bag right over here. Which if I want to remember a good weekend, I just pull out the cards and I look at them. And one of the things that I think that's really important is to customize them and make them truly personal. Well, anything in marketing, anything in relationship building should be hyper personal. It should not be run-of-the-mill type of a feel. People don't want to feel like a number. They want to feel like an individual. They want to feel like they're special, like they have worth. I mean, Matt has ridiculed me relentlessly for my Century 21 silver jacket or gold jacket. And I have a card. Someone sent me a card, and I didn't know what send-out cards was. Had a card, and I'll see if I can grab it while you guys talk. But they have a picture of me on the front of a card in my jacket. I'm like, whoa! Yeah. First time I saw it.
We've seen it. We don't need to see it again, Greg.
Oh, we need to see
point
it
being,
again.
yes. Somebody pulled a screenshot literally off the show of you in that jacket I was mocking you for, and sent it to you, which I thought was endlessly hilarious, and also
because I look devastatingly handsome. Thank you.
Okay, they just need to document the handsomeness. Yeah, okay. Hey, Gail, speaking of before Greg shows us this abomination of a card, why don't you let everybody know who's listening or watching, whether it's now or after the fact, where they can reach out and connect with you.
Best way to connect with me is on social media. I'm reaching my friends limit, but I've also got a group that I created for realtors. It's called Realtors Business by Referral with Send Out Cards. And there's about 7,000 members. It's a closed group. We just share ideas. How to use the system, success stories. That's a really great way if you're interested in learning more about the relationship part. With me, just, you can follow me on social media. I keep my profile public so you can comment and like and interact and engage and, ask questions, send me a private message. Love to connect with you.
So what was the name of the Facebook group again?
Realtors Business by Referral with Send Out Cards.
Okay. Perfect. That is awesome.
Gail?
So, yeah. That's private message, Gail, for that information. We will not be putting that on the podcast. But all right. So I am joining the group. There's
Matt,
just a question
as of this recording, I have full admin access. I will deny you.
Oh,
Not allowed.
Deny. Okay,
Don't keep asking, damn it. All right, so here's the abomination. This is the devastatingly good-looking. This is what I got in the mail, guys. And it's just like when you get your own face on a card, you will stop and look at that going, how in the hell does that happen? But, Bridget Jones, she had her information on the back, but she wrote this really nice little note to me. And she said, hey, Greg, I just wanted to send you a note and say how much you and Matt Johnson rock. I've been in the real estate for 13 years, and I love listening to your podcast, your episode where you were wearing your hashtag gold Century 21 jacket, as Matt said, made me smile, so I had to capture a picture and send that. Keep up the great podcast and sharing. I know and appreciate all the information, and more importantly, the humor. Warmly, Bridget. She never once asked for a referral, but you guys can tell that this definitely stood out to me. And look, they don't always have to be send-out cards, guys. I keep all of the cards you guys send me. I keep them all because, they're just incredible. If someone takes the time to write a note to me, and I'm sure other people feel the same way about if you send them. If you take the time to write something and send it, that's old school. Like, millennials are screwed. They aren't going to know how to communicate in this world. Like, cursive? Cards? I just want to Snapchat. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Here today, gone today.
Exactly.
That's funny.
I want to talk a little bit about some ideas. If you guys are, social retards and you have absolutely no friends, if you're like Matt's kids, obese little wood denting, smelly little creatures, you know what? Here's an idea how you can use send-out cards potentially as well. And Gail, tell me if I'm completely off my rocker, but I have used this and I have got a response from them. Not always to my liking, but it's an idea. Anytime you see a property that's a rental, this is something that my father told me a long time ago to do. Like back in the day when we did print out cards and print out photos, right? This is what he would do. He would write a quick note and say, you take a picture of the rental, front of the rental property, then he would find the address of the owner, put the card in the envelope and say, hey, here's a recent photo of the front of your home. Not sure the last time you saw it, but if you're thinking about selling, please give me a call. Greg McDaniel, blah, blah, blah. And so I started doing that when I would go out and I would be, go in front of a property that obviously no one was living in. Well, I would just take a picture of the ship box. Then I would just put it on the front of the card where my gleaming face is here, and then send it to them and be like, hey, did the same little script. Gail, have you heard of that logic or that idea before, and has it worked for other people?
Well, there's a lot of agents that have success with expired listings, putting the picture on the front of a card, sending a box of brownies with, hey, I noticed your home is expired from the MLS and love the opportunity to meet with you to discuss my marketing plan. And it's working great for sale by owners. There is a gal, Betty Fernandez, who she works with a lot of estate attorneys, and just like what you said with rental homes, with properties that are non-owner occupied, and reaching out to them to see. So, if you gave me an instance, I could find a way send-out cards would work to make a connection,
right?
Because of the pictures.
Right.
The picture of the house matches the owner. It's an emotional attachment to that owner. So,
right.
And I think what you just said, hey, I just didn't know if you've seen your house in a while, and just thought I'd send you this card to let you know what it looks like today, if there's anything I can do to help you in the future to get it sold, or
Photoshop like a car on blocks in front of it.
Maybe property management companies are really dropping the ball here.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just Photoshop like a bundle of snakes, like not just an individual snake, just a whole bundle of snakes in the front.
That'd get their attention. That'd be
like
fun.
Like a Texas rattlesnake roundup. Just get the snakes and drop it right in front of the house.
Exactly. That's what I'm envisioning. All right, we got to wrap things up. So join the Facebook group. That's the best place, and then connect with Gail and send out cards, and just ask for her permission and get her mailing address and send her cards to thank her for coming on the show and sharing what she's doing, because this is awesome. I've literally took a page of notes on how I can use this in the podcast business on the back end, and then how we could potentially use it on our podcast, just to, for example, thank the guests that come onto our show. Greg, you and I were on Marguerite Crispillo's podcast a year and a half ago or something like that, and she sent us a very nice card and a gift box that I still remember. That's the only podcast that you and I have been on where somebody followed up with a card. So that's one of the areas where we could be standing out.
Yeah, absolutely. But forgive me for not remembering her name. The one who bought me those like 4 or 5 high-end towels with embroidered our logo on it.
Monica Weekly.
Dude,
Yeah, those were awesome.
Insane. I mean, I can't wait. I'm waiting for someone to hurry up and get here so I can go use them. I'm like, come on, I got new towels. Let's go.
All right. Now, as far as how they can connect with you, Greg, so we're talking about the 36 to life. And some of the philosophies that Gail is using to build a relationship business are exactly what's taught in 36 to Life. The social media example that she gave of exactly the program that she's on is taught in 36 to Life, and that's something that comes, next to free, essentially, when you join our team. So you get to plug into the 36 to Life program and learn all those tactics that Gail is using. And Greg, how do they find out more about joining our team so that they can plug into those systems and those philosophies?
Go stalk Johnson. I'll give you his address and his phone number. But guys, go to bookmcdaniel.com. Please go there right now. Go again, bookmcdaniel.com. Get 30 minutes, guys. Like, I'm going to jump off this right now. In 8 minutes, I got a call like we would have together. Let's see if EXP is going to be the brokerage that would be the best move for you guys. I'll show you how to not just get a paycheck, but to build wealth for your family and for your spouses, even and pass it down to your kids, guys. This is a long-term play. We are exploding at the hinges, and it is a time to get in with this, guys. You're not selling soap. You're still selling houses, but you're doing your job. You're getting paid more for it. So bookmcdaniel.com. Come join me and Matt on our ever-expanding national team with EXP. That's the best way to go ahead and reach out to me. And I'll give my phone number if someone wants to call me, Matt. My number is 925-915-1978. It's been like a year and a half since I've given my phone number or something like that.
Yeah, I expect you to get a flood of calls. All right, so I will not give my phone number. However, I will say that we just moved the high-tech, high-touch real estate farming video training course that has a complete guide to dominating key neighborhoods and generating a stream of clients in the exact neighborhoods that you want to work. So if you would like to go grab that, it is now available on our new training portal. You can go to reuncensored.com/farming, and you can check that out and see if that's something that you'd like to invest in. So if you want to go and pick out specific neighborhoods with the exact types of homeowners that you want to work with, and then you want to complete cold to warm to hot lead generation plan to reach them and get them into your world so that you can then communicate with them on social media and use tools like send out cards to build a deeper relationship with them, go grab that training. That is one of the other benefits of joining our team is you get all of our trainings for free. 100% free, as well as our weekly live trainings. You get ERS live stream, which is put on by Jeff Cohn, friend of mine that runs the #1 team in Nebraska. His team will do probably close to 1,000 deals this year, and they do twice a week 1 hour full high-def audio video trainings for their agents that you get free access to if you join our team. It's also available as a standalone product, so guys, if you want to check that out, you can go to erslivestream.com. It's like $17 a month. It's ridiculously cheap. So if you're a team leader and you have agents underneath you, you don't have the time to train them yourself or hire a trainer, this is a great alternative. If you're looking to build a team, you can get a higher tier version of that where you can get a broker owner team leader call every week in addition to the trainings for your agents, and you can have a one-on-one 15-minute call with one of the guys there on the coaching staff to apply those principles so that you can build a team. And so that's, again, one of the benefits of joining our team is you get to plug into all the great people that we have on the show, people like Gail, people like Hank Gavink, Jeff Cohn, Greg Harrelson, all the stuff that people in our world are building and offering to their tribes and their communities. You get to plug into our tribe and, for the most part, get most of those things for free or close to free. So with that being said, make sure to subscribe to the show, audio, video. You get YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, podcast apps, all that good stuff. Go there and subscribe. Leave us a rating and a review. We really appreciate that because that helps put the show in front of more folks that we get to help, which we love doing. And Greg, other than that, I'll turn it back over to you.
About time. Good Lord, I was feeling left out with all that talking from you over there. My gosh. Gail, You are absolutely a gem. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang with us, and give people their knowledge. You have given Matt and I homework, and where we have epically been screwing up. So thank you for making us look horrible. I love you for that. Especially Johnson. He took a page and a half. I only took like 4 or 5 lines here, but it's equal to that. But you're amazing. And again, thank you so much. Matt, what are we going to do to the show?
We're going to put a bow on it. A nice, tidy little bow, Greg.
A nice pink bow, just the way you like them. All right, guys. Guys, I love you. We're here because we love you. Share the show. But until next time, peace out, ninjas. We go.